Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing a draft of the Chromatic Cube for November 2023. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. For this kind of cube, we see a lot of really big, splashy, powerful plays, a lot that are very high in mana value, 5, 6+ cards, and very color restrictive with 5 color cards like Omnath, double blue cards, double green cards everywhere. So the cards I like to take really early in the draft are usually low mana value monocolored cards, particularly removal spells play quite well, and very good fixing like triomes that can get us 3 colors, because these are a lot less replaceable than the big high mana value bombs and explosive plays, because there's just so many of those in this cube. So out of this pack, very big fan of like Giver of Runes here, which can protect all of your creatures throughout the game until they kill your Giver of Runes. Sheoldred's Edict is okay. There are a lot of cards that can get around this pretty well, like creatures that enter the battlefield with additional creatures. There's some token production in the cube and stuff, so I don't consider this to be premium cheap removal, but it's an option. So mainly Giver of Runes, Edict, Channeler, Bodyguard, these low mana value cards, and the Triome here is an option, but I'm going to roll with the Giver of Runes here. Very solid 1-drop, and there are certainly just not a lot of those in the cube. For pack 1, pick 2, again, we see just an entire row of Planeswalkers up here, showing that at like 4 mana value plus, there are just so many options for powerful plays that you can scoop those kind of things up quite a bit later. We do have a Charming Prince for a decent 2-drop, an Elysian Caryatid for mana fixing if we want to play a green deck. I find green to generally be one of the most contested colors, at least early in the Chromatic Cube, pretty frequently, because everyone knows that it's all about multicolored spells and they're going to see all the green mana dorks, and often becomes a very, very competitive color to be trying to scoop up cards for, but could still take the Caryatid. I mean, it is a good mana dork. There's a White Sun's Twilight. There's not like infinite board wipes in the cube, but this is a 7 mana board wipe, which is a hard sell, but it does really win you the game if you resolve it, because then you just kill them with those might tokens. There's Rip Apart for cheap interaction, but that requires us to be in red and white. Then Eldest Reborn's pretty good. I think it's just going to be a cheap card again, a Charming Prince or a Rip Apart. I'm going to take the Rip Apart here. Maybe we can head into a Boros little aggro deck. You all know how much I love those. Those are infinitely better in the regular Arena Cube than the Chromatic Cube, but I think it's still solid to just take the cheap cards early, and that's what I'll do there. Pick 3, Chandra Hope's Beacon is kind of an insane payoff for the blue-red spells deck, because she's going to make sure that every instant source you cast gets copied. Well, technically only 1 per turn, but still, all the big ones, the important ones. And she's 2 removal spells in 1. You can just cast her and deal 4 damage to 2 targets and still have a Planeswalker sitting around. So Chandra's like pretty big. Like, she can stabilize you instantly and then completely flip the game in your favor. She might be powerful enough to actually take a 6-drop here, or Portal to Phyrexia is another card that just flips the game. I think the main cards that I like here are the Chandra, the Pull of the Mistmoon for solid removal, especially if you're in blue and white. Then you get that whole scroll bar of alchemy text. Basically, it's an Oblivion Ring that might do more, or just a dual land. I think those are the nice options, but I'm going to take the Chandra there. Incredible, incredible card to have at the top of the curve, even if we're not a dedicated like spells deck. The fact that she hits the board and kills 2 things immediately, and then it's just a Planeswalker from then on, is so good. All right, pick 4. Love taking some good 1-drops nice and early, and there's a Thraben Inspector here, which is great value. 1 mana for a 1/2, draws you a card later off the clue token whenever you've got 2 mana sitting around. Sky Sovereign's decent for any deck with a lot of creatures, because it is a colorless spell, so it can fit into anything as long as you're crewing it now and then. Mind Stone's probably actually pretty good, little 2 mana mana rock in a cube that has so many 3, 4, well, really 4 mana and plus spells in it. What does this alchemy thing do? Conjure a duplicate of another non-token creature artifact control into your graveyard. You get like an unearthed copy of something? That doesn't seem great. I think I take the Mind Stone here, but Static Net and Thraben Inspector are also pretty tempting. Static Net, of course, for more interaction, more removal. There's a lot of really synergistic cards in this cube where if you stack like 2 of them together, they do just completely disgusting things. And there's also a lot of bomby cards, so having a lot of removal is another very important thing. So right now, we look like a really solid just Boros mid-range pile. Of course, not tied to anything yet. We're still early. It's pick 5. But Spirited Companion would be a solid addition to a grindy Boros deck. Essica's Chariot just does a lot of stuff. 4 mana for 2 2/2s. Those 2/2s are big enough to crew the Chariot, and then the Chariot makes more 2/2s from then on, which is insane. Just steamrolls people over. It's really easy to play, really easy to splash. It's a single green mana. I think Chariot's strong enough to take that here. Over the Spirited Companion. And then there's still an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Again, I feel like green's usually pretty contested, but it does not look that contested here. So maybe green-white off Avacyn's Pilgrim, or Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath is a great card too. 3 mana to gain 3 life, draw a card, and play a land. It's already a pretty decent stat line there, and this also comes back from the grave late in the game as a 6/6 that lets you gain 3, draw a card when you play it, and when you attack with it. So Uro's kind of nuts too. Actually, kind of a pivotal pick here. We could take the Uro and try to head into Eska's Chariot green stuff, or we could stick to Boros with Heartflame Duelist, because we do see cheap little Boros aggro stuff. That's actually pretty tempting too. Actually, I'll go for the Heartflame Duelist here. There's Pilgrim. Everything in this pack is like 1/2 mana, which is wild. Feels like a pretty good draft pod to be in. Unless that pack was just an anomaly and everything was like 1 or 2 mana in there. Feels like some people have been taking a lot of high mana value cards out of that pack and leaving the cheap stuff, which is what I would like to see. Now we have a Sacred Foundry, which I'm going to take here because it's going to help splash in Eska's Chariot. Sure, it isn't the green source, but it's going to make it so I don't have to be... Like, if I want to be a 10-7 deck, I could play like 10 plains, 7 mountains, right? But if I have a Sacred Foundry, now I can play 9 plains, 6 mountains, 1 Sacred Foundry. I still have 10 white sources, 6 or 7 red sources or whatever I was saying. And I can put in a green source for Eska's Chariot. I've like made room for that. Put in 2 green sources actually, so I do like the fixing quite a lot, and we have more red and white than anything else. So let's scoop up that fixing. Now there's a Welcoming Vampire. Really good with some cheap power 2 or less creatures to go alongside it. If we do get that Eska's Chariot splash going, every time the Chariot attacks makes a 2/2. If we've got a Vampire on board as well, we draw another card. Yeah, certainly a Welcoming Vampire there. Very happy to see it. Now a Sunbaked Canyon or a Sunpetal Grove. I think I'd rather take the Sunbaked Canyon, seeing I only have 1 green card here. I think we're incredibly likely to be playing red and white or splashing between these 2 colors. A little less likely with green. And again, even if the Sunpetal Grove helps splash in the Eska's Chariot, Sunbaked Canyon sort of does too. For that same reason the Sacred Foundry does, where it lets me up both my red and white sources off of 1 lands to make room for another forest. I'm taking it over Young Pyromancer because I just don't think, unless we're blue-red, that we're going to end up with a ton of instants and sorceries to get those elemental tokens. Pick 10, we still see a Garruk here, but Garruk's weaker than the red and white Planeswalker in the pack, and these are both more on color. So we'll take one of these. Jaya can make some monks or draw some cards, which is fine. Sarah's like less flexible, but I think more powerful up front. And I clicked too slow. I'm too slow at drafting. We got to Storm the Festival. My bad. I think I changed my mind. I was going to do a Jaya there, but instead we'll get a Storm the Festival. Maybe we end up super far into green and we can actually use that. That would be cute. Probably not. Temple of Plenty would be a solid pickup. It is always tapped, which is rough, but I'd rather take Thalia's Lancers. This card does not look exciting at all, but that Enter the Battlefield effect is actually pretty powerful, where you are consistently drawing like a powerful card when you cast this. This is a 5 mana 4/4 first strike and you draw Chandra when you cast it, or a 5 mana 4/4 first strike and you draw Sky Sovereign when you cast it. Something like that. Get a pick 14 Magda. Okay. I am pretty excited to actually push full in on Boros here then. If we get a pick 14 Magda. For pack 2, pick 1. There's a Touch the Spirit Realm for removal. I really hate... I don't like them putting alchemy cards in the cube, but I've gotten over that. I hate it when they do this, though. Right, there's a nerfed Omnath in this cube. This is the nerfed alchemy version of Omnath, but this is the non-nerfed Essica's Chariot. I hate when they have both nerfed alchemy cards and non-alchemy cards. When this card was also nerfed in alchemy, there is an alchemy version of Essica's Chariot, but that one's not in the cube. I don't know. It's so confusing when they decide to do that. I dislike it a lot. I'm just going to take the Touch Spirit Realm here, get some interaction, but Escape to the Wilds would be a solid splash. Huge card draw off that. Just wanted to do my little alchemy rant there. Pack 2, pick 2, cast out for more removal. The one thing that I don't like about White's removal in this cube is it's basically all these enter the battlefield effect enchantments, and there's some main deckable enchantment removal in the cube, and that will ruin these. And there's also Eleshnorn in the cube, so if your opponent happens to get the Eleshnorn that stops enter the battlefield effects, all your removal just doesn't work anymore if you're a white deck. So don't love that, but still instant speed removal most of the time. It's pretty good, and you can always cycle it away if they do have an Eleshnorn on board or something. So take the cast out over Burn Down the House or Clifftop Retreat, I think. Because I do want to get some more removal. Basically at all times. Pack 2, pick 3. If we splash black, Decadent Dragon can be really good. It can be card draw and a big dragon. I think even up front it's fine. Might be tempted to go for the Showdown of the Scalds, but this might wheel. It's basically a draw 4, but you have to play those cards in your next turn. Technically, you could play some the turn you exile them, but you're spending 4 mana on Showdown, so you probably don't have mana left to do that. Yeah, Decadent Dragon or Showdown, or we could splash in Helena and Elena. They are another powerful card, but the more aggressive we get, the less we want to potentially be splashing here. And the end of last pack started getting our curve a little more aggressive. We don't have a lot of creatures, though, and I don't think there's a lot of good little aggro creatures, so... All right, Showdown probably comes back. I'm going to speculate on Helena and Elena because looking at the curve, actually not the most aggressive streamlined deck in the universe, and I think it's quite unlikely that we get a super duper aggro curve, so we can spend some time playing a tap land here or there on curve to find a green source and play something powerful like Helena and Elena and Essica's Chariot. Pack 2, pick 4, Solemn Simulacrum could find our splash color. Planar Disruption is... solid removal. It doesn't stop any triggered abilities or static abilities, though, and there are a lot of those in the cube. Like Prosper has one, Helena and Elena has one, Smoldering Egg has one, Emil has one. Like, so many of the cards have abilities that just work while they're on the board, even if you shut off their activated abilities. So actually don't think Disruption is that insane. I'll just go for the red-green fixing with the Crag Crown pathway. Virtue of Courage could be a fun build around, though. That's another option for sure. Pick 5, we've got a Stomping Ground that I'll probably take. I don't think we're going to go deep enough into green to get the triple green Hornet Queen. Although Lurrus just as a double white and 1 little lifelinker that lets us recast our 1 and 2 mana creatures could be pretty powerful if we get a lot of them. Pylon's great interaction. If we head it into black instead. Tribal Flames is okay, right? It's going to be 2 mana, deal 3 if we have a forest on board. Sorcery speed, yeah, not great. This is like spicy if you've got a lot of triomes, but probably not the pick here. I'm actually going to go Lurrus over the Stomping Ground. Pick 6 now. Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Elves is not a good card to splash in. But I am technically 4 cards deep on red, 7 cards deep on white. Maybe we end up green-white instead of red-white at the core of the deck, and then Llanowar Elves actually curves out pretty well. Gives me another 1-drop for Lurrus to bring back. Sun Titan's a nice top-end card. I don't know. If Sun Titan weren't in the pack, I think I'd take Land Werewolves there, but seeing the Sun Titan does mean that we can take a nice card for the top end of our curve that's gonna get played no matter what, because white is like our guaranteed locked-in core color of the deck. Our secondary colors, though, between red and green, we don't have that many cards in either of those colors, so who knows there. Take an Elspeth Conquers Death here. It's great removal against bigger spells, because it's removal and you get to bring back like your best card from the grave later. Oh, there's Ravenous Chupacabra in this cube. That's spicy. Spicy for the black decks. We are not one of those, though. Take a Crackle with Power as a maybe finisher, or an Iron Crag for more ways to ramp up. You know, I don't hate the Iron Crag. We are definitely not aggro. For a second there, I thought there might be a Boros aggro deck available in this draft pod or in this cube, but there was like one pack with a bunch of 1 and 2 mana creatures and 0 anywhere else, so I guess that is not the thing. Escape to the Wilds is a card draw splash. Clifftop Retreat here. Yep. We do get the Showdown of the Scalds back. I don't think we're going to go that high mana value that we want the Hedron Archive, but I still like the 2 mana rocks getting up to 4, 5, 6 drop cards. I guess it's Koglan Yidaro here, but I don't think I'm playing any of these. Yeah, Smoldering Egg only triggers off instants and sorceries. If that triggered off of non-creatures, period, Smoldering Egg could be okay for this deck, because we do have a lot of enchantments and artifacts and stuff. So anything that cares about only instants and sorceries looks pretty bad. But any cards that would say, like, just non-creature spells trigger this thing, those could be kind of spicy. And I guess we will play Tribal Flames. I mean, 2 mana sorcery deal 3 is not the worst. It's just not exciting. It's not like cube power level. Pack 3, pick number 1. Pack does not look great. Sarkhan's removal. 4 mana for 3 to a creature. And then you still have the Sarkhan sitting around, and then Sarkhan is just an infinite supply of Shivan Dragons, I guess, which is hilarious. Dragonmaster Outcast, very powerful. You have 6 or more mana, but it's basically just like another 6 mana bomb rather than a 1-drop. But it's balmy. It's a Cathar Commando for another flexible little cheap play. Sarkhan or Cathar Commando, maybe Dragon Master here are my favorite options. I'm going to go for the Cathar Commando. Cathar Commando is pretty gross with Luris. If we can assemble those two together, our opponent does not get to keep any artifacts or enchantments on their board. Pack 3, pick 2. Response Resurgence is a relatively cheap little removal spell against attacking and blocking creatures. It's also somewhat of a win condition, a pretty crappy win condition, I'm going to be honest. The Resurgence is not the best way to try to close out the game, but Response is an okay removal spell. I guess I already have Tribal Flames, Rip Apart, Touch the Spirit Realm, Cast Out, Elspeth Conquers. We don't need removal badly enough to take this over History of Benalia, probably. Just a really nice value saga. 2 2/2s with Vigilance for 3 mana. It also buffs them for a turn for extra damage. I think I'd take that. Siege Gang is a very strong card too, but it's at that higher mana value that's a lot more contested by other spells. Royal Eruption versus Restoration of Eiganjo is pretty hard, because I like both of those cards a lot. I think I'll take the Royal Eruption, the more interactive spell. But Restoration of Eiganjo, like many of these sagas, is so much value for its mana cost that it is quite tempting. You get a Plains, then you can discard the Plains and put it on the board and ramp up if you want. Or return any permanent with mana value 2 or less from your grave to the battlefield, which is pretty spicy. And then you just get a 3/4 Vigilance that keeps spitting out 1/1s. You get an army in a can. Thing is super cool. But I'm just going to take that solid interaction, that Royal Eruption, make sure I don't get caught with my pants down. Pack 3, pick 4. There's like nothing in red-white here. I guess I could try to do Ephemerate. I don't think I have that many enter the battlefield effects for it, though. So worm coil engine at the top of the curve. Don't mind if I do. Simple pick there. Pack 3, pick 5. It's too late to be the 5-color Golos deck, but that deck is very, very fun, where you use Golos to find a Triome to help activate Golos' ability and just start flipping cards off the top of your deck and exiling whatever you hit. Super fun, super cool. I think I just take Inspiring Overseer here. Nice little aggro dork thanks to the evasiveness, giving that a good way to chip in for some damage while gaining a life and drawing a card, keeping other spells coming. I like the Overseer. Leyline Binding is great removal. It has the exact same issue as all of our other removal, because every single white removal spell in this cube is just an enchantment that can die to enchantment removal or can get got by Eleshnorn if they have that, but I'll still take Leyline Binding here. It's just a more efficient version of Cast Out, because if I have a Mountain and a Plains out, it costs the same mana as Cast Out for the same card. If I have a Mountain, Plains, and Forest out, then it's Cast Out for only 3 mana instead of 4. I guess Intervention is kind of flexible removal. I don't really want like the Silex board wipe here. Take the Intervention. I could try to splash in Nissa, but double green's a bit much. I'm already not splashing in his Koga and Yadara. I'm just letting them cheer along from the side there. Dismissive Pyromancer, another 2-drop creature, triggers the Welcoming Vampire, helps the curve out, and it is cheap removal. Take that over an Elder Dragon War. Ooh, we got the Sarkhan back. So there's another removal spell on a stick kind of thing. Keep shooting things for 3, keep putting Shivan Dragons in my hand to try to blow my opponent up with later. Sure.
To no master. It embodies absolute freedom.
Put a Skyclave Relic in the sideboard while Sarkhan's just going over a whole monologue there. Alright, don't think I'm playing any of this, but we could splash in Tristani as the strongest splash out of that pack. And these last few picks are going to be putting some nonsense in the sideboard. Well, we did get into Hiri. I think she's too narrow to really be good. She's probably good in best of 3, but I don't really like her main deck. Only exiling tapped creatures, enchantments, or artifacts. Not the bestest. Alright, we have 46 cards, so we get to cut 6 out of here. And I only have 3 green spells, so we could just drop the green if we want. But those 3 green spells are some of the strongest things we have, with Helena, Eska's Chariot, and Escape to the Wilds. We're definitely not companioning the Lurrus. 6 cards to cut here. I might drop the green just because it makes the deck building so much simpler, being able to insta-cut some stuff. Then we'd only need to cut 3 cards. Yeah, and everything is powerful in here. Maybe I could just cut the 2-mana rocks if I just go for the 2-color build. Sure, I do still have a good amount of 4, 5s, and 6s, but it could just be like a 17-land build. I've got some treasure. I've got 1 treasure producer, I guess. I feel like this would be a real simple deck build. We just cut those 2-mana rocks and then one of the high mana value cards. And I kind of like the idea of that, so we can just get into that gameplay. Get our Chromatic Cube games going, see what everybody else has come up with. Should be pretty fun. Always fun to see the kind of full meta here. Suntide looks insane in here. That looks so good. How does Thalia's Lancers look? Maybe that's the cut. Maybe we didn't actually end up with enough legends? Oh no, Thalia's Lancers is good. Thalia's Lancers is good. It's never going to not have a target. I like having the Showdown. It's like our only card draw in here. No, we've got that and a Welcoming Vampire and an Inspiring Overseer. We actually have a little bit of card draw. Maybe we cut the Leyline Binding, since now that we're not playing green, Leyline Binding is just a slightly worse cast out. It's a cast out we can't cycle. It went from being a slightly better cast out to a slightly worse cast out, and we do have Royal Eruption. Tribal Flames is only 2 damage now. That's another maybe cut. But yeah, we have Royal Eruption, Rip Apart, Touch the Spirit Realm, Cast Out, Elspeth Conquers Death, Perforos's Intervention, Chandra, Sarkin, Sky Sovereign, a lot of random little interaction now. I think I'd actually rather cut Tribal Flames than the Leyline Binding at this point, but is there anything else I could put in over the Leyline Binding? They made everything look so confusing now with the card styles, where even though our 1 Worm Coil's in the deck, you still see it in the sideboard here. Even though our 1 Intervention's in the deck, you still see it in the sideboard here. All right, there we go. Let's favorite the non-card style Intervention. Doesn't look like there's anything I can put back in. Oh, I can favorite the non-card style Rip Apart. Cool. I guess I could just put Mind Stone in, I guess. Right, like it ramps into these random big stuff, big cards, and we can just sack it, draw a card when we don't. And it is hilarious with Luris. You know what? I'm going to put a Mind Stone in over Leyline Binding, and maybe we'll get it alongside Luris one time, and that'll be super, super cute. But when we don't, we do have some big stuff to get to here, so it does get to those cards. So we'll play around with a Mind Stone, but I think that's going to be it. I mean, let's check our mana here. 14 white cards, 8 red cards. I'm cool with the 7/6 on the basics. Oh, I do have 1 random green pathway still in the deck. I should probably just play a mountain over that at this point. Yeah, let's play a mountain over that. Okay, and it auto-changed it. So that's 7/7 and then 3 that are both colors. Probably at that point want to go 8/6. That's still 9 red sources. Feels pretty good. Yeah. Do the mana base like that and call it a deck there. All right, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're on a Boros kind of mid-range deck. We're not super duper aggressive because I just don't think you can really draft a hyper aggressive deck in this cube, but by this cube standards, this kind of mid-range Boros deck is pretty dang aggressive. Plenty of 2-drops and some 3-drops that can provide a good amount of power for their mana values, and some cheap interaction to keep the path clear with Royal Eruption, Rip Apart, Touch the Spirit Realm, stuff like that. But we've also got quite a bit of top end, like pretty much every deck in this cube is going to have. We've got a Sun Titan to hit the board and recur all of our early game creatures. We've got a Worm Coil Engine for a miniature army in a can, a bunch of worms to spread about with Death Touch and Lifelink. We've got a Chandra that can be 2 removal spells in 1 at worst, and sometimes can even double up some instants and sorceries, which is super gross. Not as powerful in this deck as some others, but still, that -X is super, super nasty. We've got Sky Sovereign, which can keep beating our opponent down in the sky and clearing out small creatures or planeswalkers they have while we do it. So some pretty great top end to wrap things up after beating down with a few little cheap aggro dorks. So very solid looking deck for today, but without further ado, let's just head into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are now on the play for game 1. Don't love the hand here. We don't have any of our 1 or 2 mana plays, but we've got the very nice Sky Sovereign turn 5. Nothing to bring back with the Luris is the saddest part about it. I think we still keep it here. We probably just Overseer turn 3. So, and then we can save the Luris to hopefully just play the Luris the turn we can actually get something back. Alright, Giver of Runes has made this a considerably better hand. Because now Luris can recast the Giver of Runes whenever that dies, and the Giver of Runes can protect the Luris in the future. This is some spice here. Let's drop that Overseer, draw a card. I don't think I'm going to tap Giver of Runes to protect my 2/1 Overseer, so we'll just get 1 damage in here. Probably worth it to try to pressure our opponent in the early game. They do drop an Oracle of the Alpha, which is a pretty gross card. It shuffles a copy of the Power 9 into their deck, so they could draw into 1 mana, draw 3, 2 mana, take an extra turn, 3 mana, everybody shuffles their hand, draws a new one, 0 mana, get 3 mana. If they're lucky, this Oracle of the Alpha can hit some absolute bangers from the Power 9. So now I kind of want to just get this Oracle out of the way so I can actually hit them this turn. The one thing I don't like about this is that Sky Sovereign is going to do enough damage to kill the Oracle next turn anyway. So this is really just about maximizing damage here rather than using removal, because I already have removal for the Oracle. I just have to wait a turn for it. Alright, so now I think I just poke for 3 and cast a Sky Sovereign. Just don't target anything, because it is a 6 power flyer. So just having that on board to be able to crew with my Luris and just attack next turn is still a big deal. Our opponent now has perfect mana off of their Chromatic Lantern, so all 5 colors, whatever they want to cast. And Sune's Intervention. Maybe I just should not draft white in this cube, because I did say many times when we were drafting, the fact that pretty much all of white's removal in this cube is enchantment based is super rough because of those main deckable enchantment removal spells like the Intervention. That probably did just completely swing the game in our opponent's favor now, because it also gained them the life to be up to 16. And I have no attacks through this board state. I could give Overseer protection from blue, but just poke for 2 damage. I think I'd rather be able to protect the Worm Coil, because the 2 3/3s are not that great. I mean, the 2 3/3s would be fine here if they blow it up, but if they go for something that exiles Worm Coil, it's going to be pretty important to have the removal. Alright, they drew into the Time Walk off the Oracle of the Alpha. So they get the extra turn here. They also have a Midnight Clock on the board, which can shuffle their whole grave back into their deck and draw a new hand of 7. It's just going to take a long time to do it with those hour counters. And there's the portal to Phyrexia. The game is completely over. Yeah, that Intervention to clear our removal and our vehicle and shuffle another copy of the Power 9 back in when they do was just pivotal here. And then the Time Walk to get the time to play Portal the same turn. Whew, that was bad stuff for us. Send in the dorks here. Trade our lifelinker down into a 2/2 to poke for 3, put them down to 13. Drop a Luris, cast a Giver and a Magda here. But now Portal to Phyrexia can steal our Worm Coil engine. Still try to use Giver. They drew into an Ancestral now for the draw 3. I was going to say, we can still try to use the Giver to get some unblockable damage in. But now they have a 6 power lifelinker on the board, and infinite more spells because they just drew 3 additional. Really 4 additional spells this game because they also took an extra turn with a Time Walk. Yep. A lot of this was Oracle of the Alpha doing Oracle of the Alpha things, but there's also certainly some Sune's Intervention against enchantment-based removal stuff going really badly for us. I'm going to scoop there because I am functionally dead. There's nothing in our deck that we can top deck to swap this around. They're going to keep reanimating the best creature in a grave. They've got a planeswalker consistently getting value, and they're gaining 6 a turn. I'm just going to move on to get some more time to play some future games. Here we are on the play for game 2. Turn 2 Magda is an exceptional start. Very happy to see that one. Now we've got Athalia's Lancers to use our treasure tokens on, which is going to be really nice if they don't interact with our Magda. Because we'll have 2 treasure tokens by next turn. Almost played the wrong land here, that would have been bad. And since I top decked a land, I only need 1 treasure token to get to the Lancers. So even if they kill Magda now, we can still drop Lancers next turn and grab any legendary bomb we need. There's a Soul Herder that can flicker their own creatures and keep getting their enter the battlefield effects, which is pretty nice. Drop the Thalia's Lancers here. Next turn we'll have 6 mana up, so I could just grab Chandra. It's probably the choice. Yeah, just grab the 6-drop when we've got the 6 mana. Send in the team, see if a Magda trades into a Soul Herder. Nope, we just get 4 damage and they're down to 14. Next turn, our knights are going to be attacking as 4/3s with vigilance if they don't like Wrath of God right now, and I don't think that's in the cube. Alright, Elite Guard Mage, gain 3, draw a card. Flicker it, gain 3, draw another card is pretty great. That also buffs the Soul Herder there. But now I can just Chandra and clear out both creatures. Hit them for a whole lot of damage. Oh, the Lancers are a knight too. 15, 16. I can hit for 16 damage here. 16 is still not lethal. But it's pretty dang close.
Man, fire doesn't need a plan. You're toast.
Yeah, they are down to 4, and now we've got a Chandra sitting there on the board that can double up a Royal Eruption to their face. There's a Restoration Angel, but that is it. They are super dead. Let's get that Royal Eruption going. And that'll be 1-1, heading to game number 3. Really explosive games, just different sides of the table, these first 2. Here we are now for game 3 with our mono white aggro deck. Pretty pumped about this hand. Cathar Commando into Welcoming Vampire, and if the Vampire sticks around, then that Overseer is going to be a draw 2. How did this red card end up in here? I thought we were mono white aggro. We've got a Sun Titan at the top of the curve, which is also really spicy with the Cathar Commando. When we've got Sun Titan with something with like a sacrifice ability, we can just keep blowing up all the artifacts and enchantments if they have any to blow up. Plus Sun Titan just being good in general. Uh-oh, Lord Skitter's a really, really good 3-drop. 3/3 exiles a card and gets a rat every single combat. And yeah, being on the draw here's gonna be pretty bad. Actually is really a big difference. Like if we had this commando out ready to attack before they could even cast Lord Skitter, would change this game quite a bit. All right, we're not playing a red card this turn, so we'll save the Foundry for now and just drop the Vampire. I think I'm attacking into Lord Skitter with this hand. I think we're trying to outrace them here. Really depends on what their follow-up for the Lord Skitter is. Alright, Letter of Acceptance. Yeah, we're racing. There's a Drown and Ichor for the Welcoming Vampire. That is sad. Ooh, the Lord Skitters also just happens to be the main deck artifact, or graveyard hate. The Ruined Sun Titan. Alright, that's a huge bummer. What do we get off Overseer? Chandra. Okay. Lord Skitter does really just like single-handedly outrace. Not single-handedly, they had to remove our creature there. And they'll have to keep removing creatures to outrace, but still, like 5 damage now, and just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Ooh, Primeval Titan, Banned in Commander, very, very good card. Grab any 2 lands from their deck, put them on the battlefield tapped. I think the spiciest thing you can do in this cube, I do believe Field of the Dead is in the cube. So you can get like Field of the Dead and another non-basic to try to get your 7 land types. Field of the Dead says that if you have 7 or more lands with different names, every time you play a land, you get a 2/2. 2/2 zombie token. Okay, so basically we need to top deck a mountain here to get this Chandra resolved to get out of this position, but if we do, we might be okay. Depends on what this Primeval Titan potentially ramps them into. Yeah, these rats stack really well once they clear out our creature that had more than 1 toughness. Like our whole trying to outrace them like really relied on having the 3 toughness flyer out. Oh, the Ghost of Bombs Past. Breach the Multiverse. Get the best creature Planeswalker from each graveyard. So from the top 10 of both of our decks. So I guess we're probably about to face Explode here, but maybe they're small enough to both die to Chandra. We'll see. Sarkhan Lolth. Well, Chandra can kill both if we find the mountain. However, Lolth does immediately get spiders. Sarkhan immediately puts a Shivan Dragon in their hand, so even if I hit the mountain to kill both, their board state is now astronomically far ahead. And we don't. I can finally kill Lord Skitter, but I didn't even hit the Sun Titan mana. Sun Titan would be real spicy now. Sun Titan Aluris. Yeah, this is looking pretty rough. So I can't kill any of their planeswalkers because they just trade a single spider into the Overseer. So that's not happening. And the Pyromancer only deals damage to target creature, not planeswalker. So that can't do it either. Maybe I should even have played a Magda at that point, just a chump attack for a treasure, rather than playing a Pyromancer here. Probably should. Although if I play a Magda, they're just going to shoot it with Sarkhan with the -2. No, this does not look like it matters, but we'll see. Alright, if they're going to +1 the Sarkhan, maybe they wouldn't have just shot Magda. Although Magda's definitely scarier than the Pyromancer. Kolaghan's Command. If I hit any land, I Sun Titan Magda back. Alright, at this point though, now that we see a Kolaghan's Command, now we know they would have So would a Kolaghan's command the Magda instead of the Pyro. We have a Rankle too. Make each player discard another card, or I have to chump block with my Overseer. Oh, and the spiders have menace too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. That's game over, man. It's game over. Devils play the Commando for 1 for good measure, and we miss the 6-drop regardless. Another completely one-sided, very explosive game. It's basically all the Chromatic Cube is really known for. 1 and 2 heading into game 4. Here we are now on the play for game 4. We've got Mind Stone into Sarkhan. Might be pretty cool. It might still be better to just play the History of Benalia on turn 3 instead of the Sarkhan, since that immediately impacts the board quite a bit. But Sarkhan, even if we resolve him on an empty board, we're just going to be putting Shivan Dragons in our hand for later. So I could see History of Benalia over Sarkhan, even if we have the mana to play Sarkhan. Alright, draw into the Magda. Turn, too late. Fashionably late. Would have way rather played Magda than Mind Stone here. With the Wormcoil Engine in hand, I might rather play Magda than any of these cards. Still feels like History of Benalia or Sarkhan are better. Especially History is probably the best card. But Magda is very tempting. You know what, let's Magda, and then we probably Sarkhan and clear a path for Magda next turn. Alright, Uro does not stick on the board, so the path is already clear for Magda. We top deck a land, we can play Wormcoil Engine next turn, which is pretty cool. If we don't, it's just a 3-drop or a 4-drop, but that's fine. Alright, now I can get a Welcoming Vampire down before I cast History of Benalia and maybe draw some extra cards off that, which is spicy. Alright, 4 mana from our opponent, they just pass here. Send in the team. Drop the History of Benalia, draw a card. Dismiss, counter the history, draw a card. Fair enough. Definitely explains the 4 mana past the turn from our opponent. But we're pretty cool with Benalia getting countered over anything else we've got in the hand. Not very cool with not drawing lands here, but as long as Magda sticks around, that's not going to be the biggest issue. So they've got 5 mana up, they have double blue up, and they just counterspelled us. It feels pretty likely they do it again, so I'm going to just resolve Sarkhan here. Since Sarkhan is a solid threat and we don't have to expend any of our resources, any of our treasure tokens to threaten that, and they do counter the Sarkhan. Minsk and Boo. Very scary card. Comes with the hamster that they make a 4/4 immediately. It's like 4/4 trample haste. They can fling it around for damage. And then they get the hamster back next turn. Alright. Draw into another non-land here. Well, I kind of have to get the hamster out of the way, but they are tapped out now, so probably just resolve a Chandra while they're tapped out, and I can kill the hamster and Minsk and Boo. And then I've got a Chandra chilling on board, which is a big deal.
Well, to the tavern. First round is on you, boo.
Sure, we'll get Giver of Runes down as well. Get rid of that Summoning Sickness, draw our card. Hey, we found a land. Pass from there. Opponents got very similar issues. They've missed a couple land drops here too. But we've got a treasure dork with Magda. So they're going to pass turn and hold up their instance here. The mana's tremendously helpful. None of this is going to help kill them immediately. I guess the mana's probably better than trying to find an instant or sorcery in the top 5. Because we don't have a lot of instants and sorceries in this deck, but I guess we could try to dig for like a Royal Eruption. Like try to kick it to kill them. I don't know, let's just get the +2. Up Chandra's ability a bit.
Use it wisely.
Drop a Worm Coil. So now the X ability can do 3 instead of, what, 2? Great Shark. So they were just begging me to play an artifact or creature specifically. Bold move, but it does work for them. Yeah, we'll kill the Great Shark so they can't kill Chandra with it. And pass the turn. Should probably have started holding off with the Giver of Runes at this point. But they have not had removal like all game. They have not had interaction. Alright, they're at 4. I can Elspeth Conquers Death, the Hornet Queen. Actually, I can do protection from green, right? Yeah, we can kill them with pro green. Alright, we're good. Protection from green. Technically, I should have done this to Magda, so I could also get a treasure, but it works either way. And then -2. Boop that, boop that. And that is game. Another pretty one-sided game here. They just stumbled on mana relatively hard, but we had a solid board of threats. So we are 2-2 heading into game 5. All right, here we are for game number 5. Let's roll out with a Giver of Runes and really hope to hit another white source, but we do have a good chunk more white than red in the deck, I believe. Yeah, we have 8 plains, 6 mountains, and 3 that are both. All right, did not hit the white source, but luckily we find a Welcoming Vampire to replace it. And I'm going to pass from here against a red deck. I'm actually going to try to use Giver of Runes to protect my stuff this game. Unlike last game where it was just like, well, I guess they don't have removal. All right, let's Magda pre-combat. See if I draw into anything that changes anything. Nope, we missed the land for turn, which is sad. Send in the vampire, pass from there. Playing against a green-red deck. Elder Dragon War. Deal 2 to each creature and each opponent, and they are going to do it. So I can make it so they only kill my Giver of Runes at least, but still a little sad about that. We do hit a land, but it's another red source, which is really not great. I think I would rather cast History of Benalia off a treasure than Cathar Commando right now. Draw the card off that and see if we hit a white source to play for turn instead of the mountain. Because I can't draw a card if I play Cathar Commando since it's 3 power. Alright, cool. And if I want to, I can use Cathar Commando to blow up the Elder Dragon War before they get a 4/4 flyer off of it. Just have my 3/1 trade up, which is pretty fine. Probably worth it when we have a Sun Titan in hand to pick up the Cathar Commando. Ooh, Sky Sovereign? Well, goodbye, Welcoming Vampire. Now I have to choose between Cathar Commandoing the Sky Sovereign or the Elder Dragon War. It's probably the Sky Sovereign. Okay. We've got 5 mana now, which is enough to shoot something for 3 with the Duelist and play it as a 3/1, but if I spend all my mana on that, well, I guess if I spend all my mana on that, I don't get to use the treasure on Sun Titan or something. I was going to say if I spend all my mana on that, then I can't use Catharic mana, but I was like, no, I've got the treasure. So I could do a 6 mana thing, or I could do the full Heartflame Duelist plus Catharic mana or something. Let's see. I could Chandra them in the face for 5, put them to 1, but they're not dead. I could Sun Titan back the Welcoming Vampire, and then they get a 4/4 and crew a Sky Sovereign go crazy. Could just drop a Worm Coil. This might be a dumb idea, but I'm just gonna Sun Titan back a threat. Right, because they're a green-red deck. They probably don't have a lot of board wipes. They've already cast the Elder Dragon War, which is like one of the potential board wipes. So this way it's like, yeah, they Sky Sovereign and kill something, but they need a lot of removal to not just die. Because they need to make it so they don't take a single point of damage next turn. If they take 1, I can shoot them for 5 with Chandra. Inferno Titan is a lot of removal. Kills 2 of our 1/1s, or, 2 of our 1 toughness cards, and that's it. Or a 1 toughness card and a 2 toughness card. Or it kills 1 3 toughness card. It divides that damage really well. And it is going to kill the 3/1 and a 2/2. And now they crew the Sky Sovereign, kill something else, but then they have a single blocker up, and I only need to hit them for 1, and then I finish them with Chandra. So we do have lethal. They're going to kill the Knight token, since it would attack as a 4-power creature next turn. So on board, they block Sun Titan. We have the Titans trade, and then finish them with Chandra. But now I just draw Elspeth Conquers Death, and we can do that instead, which also works. And there is the concession. We are now 3-2, heading into game number 6. Here we are for game 6 with our opponent on the play. This is a pretty great hand. It's got some efficient spells here. Cheap removal, cheap creatures. Pretty good at getting things started out. Our opponent rolls out with a Hard Evidence. Turn 1, get a 0/3 crab and a clue token to draw a card. Very solid sorcery. Alright, they are blue and white. Tempted to immediately play the Heartflame Duelist so I can just start attacking in with a 3/1. The issue is it's not getting max value out of it, but I think that's fine. Because I think it's going to be a really long time until I spend mana on Heartflame Slash instead of playing another spell. If I don't play the Duelist right now, I'm just going to go History of Benalia into Luris and use a Rip Apart at some time. So they are going to sacrifice their clue to draw a card. Does this let me cast Adventures? I don't think so. Yeah. Permanent spell with mana value 2 or less. So I can't cast the Adventure half of this from my grave. That'd be super sweet, though, with the Luris. But that's another thing that kind of makes me like getting on the board immediately, is if I can get it to trade off somewhere, then we can get Luris value like the turn we play Luris. If we go for a turn 5 Luris Reanimate Duelist, that'd be pretty sweet. Alright. I think this is a History of Benalia turn. Well, here it is. And it does resolve. The blue-white archetypes can have a lot of cards that let them flicker a creature they control, so exile it and put it back on the board. Some of those might be able to target opposing creatures, which could be powerful against our tokens. They are white, blue, and black. There's some black sources coming out. Cast a turn from there, hold all their mana up. Don't have double red here, which is pretty awkward. I can't go Magda plus Rip Apart. But I'm not even reanimating anything with Luris right now, so it's just going to be a Magda turn regardless. So we play a Magda. Magda gets countered or removed or something here, probably. Vesuvan Mist. Bounce the Heartflame Duelist. Put a duplicate in their hand. They can spend mana on it as though it were mana of any color, so they get the full 2-for-1 off the Heartflame Duelist too. They get the removal spell and the 3/1 body. Well, I guess now I could play Magda plus Duelist or Duelist plus Rip Apart, but I'm getting reverse 2-for-1 by their Heartflame Duelist, so I don't really want to do that. Yeah, I think I just cast a Magda and pass. That gets them to use the Heartflame Slash on the Magda. Well, Duelist is a knight. You know what? Okay, this is kind of awkward. Duelist is a knight, so I'm going to play both here. Get the +2/+1 on everybody next turn. They only have enough mana to shoot one creature, and they'll have 2 mana up afterwards. So they could shoot a creature and play the 3/1. Ooh, go for a full multiple choice instead. I think I'm happier with that outcome. They are going to have a 4/4 body over there, but all of my knights will attack as 4 power or greater anyway, so I guess we just pick up Magda here and attack with everybody else. Find Athalia's Lancers. That might just be the play this turn, honestly. Seems good. Clear the board, put them to 13. I now have a creature engraved for the Luris, if I want to do that, but I'm pretty happy to Thalia's Lancers. I do not have double red. That is the only thing I don't like about this, so it's got to be Sarkhan or Sky Sovereign if I want to guarantee that I'm casting it. I think I'm just going to choose Chandra anyway because she's so powerful, and if we don't hit the next red source, I can still just Luris and Duelist back. I've got a good turn even if I don't cast whatever I pick up off the Lancers in that next turn. Hold all the mana in the world up. None of these plays impact our combat at all, so we send everybody in. They could have the 6 mana, Oops, I Win blue spell, the Sublime Epiphany. Counter a card, bounce a card, draw a card. I think our best line is just like Luris Heartflame Duelist here against pretty much anything. Gale's Redirection. Wow. They get a free Luris. They rolled like a 19, I think, and got the +3 from the Luris. Wait, they rolled a 23? That means they rolled a natural 20 and got the +3 because mana value 3. Well, nat 20. Hopefully that's not a bad omen for us. Does mean they're going to have a lifelinking blocker, but I can rip it apart. So it's Magda to guarantee we have the Chandra mana next turn. Cross our fingers a little bit, but they are down to 5 against 4 creatures. 5 life is already low enough to just take 5 damage from Chandra's minus X. So, we'll see. I would have to attack with Magda to do that, which means they could block with a life linker. Do they have anything to even lure us back from the grave? No, thank goodness. Thank goodness, that would have been very gross. Steal our Luris off the redirection and recast their own card there. Alright, Heartflame slash the Magda so they know we can't cast the Chandra. Play the Heartflame Duelist for a blocker. Play a Priest of Fell Rites for a blocker. We draw into an Inspiring Overseer, so we can't cast Chandra this turn no matter what. Let's see what we draw off the Overseer, but I am likely ripping Luris apart. Find a Sun Titan, that's a very good card. I do not mind that in the slightest. They have to pay life to reanimate something with this priest, so that's probably not happening. Right, I mean, they can chump block Lancers. Take 4. Yeah, they're at 1, and then they can't use the priest anyway. So they are going to get the 2 trades. But now they're at 1 life against 2 creatures. We have a Chandra in hand whenever we find a red source. And even if we don't, we have Sun Titan now to cast for 6 mana. Liliana Death's Majesty. They can create a 2/2 zombie and mill 2. They can return any creature from their grave to the battlefield. They cannot destroy all non-zombies right now. Okay, so they're going to mill 2, get a single creature. They're already done on the board, and they're just going to concede. I was going to say, just to play around like an instant speed removal spell or something, we should probably play the Sarkin pre-combat, kill that 2/2, and then send in the attack, but they go ahead and concede for us, and we know it is lethal. We are now 4-2, at least a positive record for the return to Chromatic Cubes, which is nice, because I am only going to be able to do 1 this time around, as the early access event is the day after tomorrow. So tomorrow we're doing the Lost Caverns of Ixalan set review, and then we're just hopping right into the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. All right, here we are on the play for game number 6. No, game number 7 now, 4-2, yeah. Probably gonna just drop this as a 2-mana 3/1 again to get things rolling. Although I did draw a Giver of Runes. Still play the Duelist first. Cool. Poke for 3. They do have a Sheoldred's Edict on that. Here's the Giver of Runes. Pass from there. Elite Spellbinder. That's going to be pretty bad for us. They can tax any of our spells. Make that Sarkin a 6-mana play, so we don't get to do anything next turn. Probably the choice, yeah, because otherwise I just play a Sarkin and kill the Spellbinder with Sarkin, which is not good for our opponent. Now I have to do the Rip Apart. Would I rather Rip Apart or use this Royal Eruption I just drew? I like that this can blow up artifacts or enchantments if they have any of those. Kind of keep forgetting about that aspect of it. I mean, they'll know that we have it, but I still think it is probably valuable enough. To keep that there. That Elite Spellbinder was really nasty. Sarkin would have been such a great turn 4 play. Without the Sarkin, we're not really doing anything. Luminous Broodmoth. Incredibad. 3/4 flyer, and anytime their non-flying creatures die, they come back to the board with a flying counter. So we gotta cast a Showdown of the Scalds, and that Showdown of the Scalds is gonna let us cast an Elspeth Conqueror's Death next turn. And we can use that to clear out the Broodmoth, while getting a solid 3-for-1 off the Showdown of the Scalds. Don't get to use all 4 cards that it drew, but still, a draw 3 is quite nice. So I'm down to 17. Elesh Norn. Well, sagas still work. But now I have to choose Elesh Norn or Broodmoth to kill. I think I need to kill Elesh Norn because I have the Lancers in my hand, which is rough. Because this Broodmoth is scary. So if this makes it to chapter 3, I don't think there's anything great to reanimate right now. Yeah, we just get Elite Spellbinder back onto our own board. Comes with 1+1/+1 counter. We get a 4/2 version of Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa. Should be sweet. Soul Transfer, exile our dork. I forgot its name, Giver of Runes. Forgot its name because it's a very dead card now. Thalia's Lancers, take another 3 in the sky. Or I could Sark it and shoot Companion, but there's not much of a point in that. Alright, here's Thalia's Lancers. Just grab Chandra, I think. That's basically always the choice. Chandra's busted, and Chandra is big enough to kill the Broodmoth. If something dies at the same time as the Broodmoth, does it get the flying counter and come back? I think it does. I think the trigger will go on the stack. So we need to keep that in mind when we use Chandra's minus ability. If we shoot Broodmoth and another creature, that other creature could just come back. Well, now I can just shoot the Broodmoth and Sorin. Okay, the Broodmoth and the Lifelinker. Well, I actually have the mana to rip apart and Chandra here. 3 to a creature or planeswalker. So I can go like Chandra and then rip apart Sorin and their Lifelinker. That seems pretty dang good. Especially with Heartflame Duelist, we gain 6 when we do that.
Here's a spark of hope.
Balance may never be restored now.
I definitely want to make sure Chandra doesn't just die to a 1/1. So I'm tempted to not attack this turn, just so they need 2 removal spells to kill Chandra. And I can't kill both, because then the companion comes back with a flying counter and they draw another card. Alright, they need 2 removal spells to kill Chandra. To break through our creatures and attack Chandra for lethal. And even if they do manage to do that, we still have a Sarkin coming up. Okay, there's a Blade Splicer. Phyrexian Metamorph. Copy of Thalia's Lancers. Uh-oh, that's almost definitely pretty bad. Oh, they don't have any legendary cards in their deck? That is incredibly surprising. Incredibly surprising. I'm going to +2 the Chandra here.
Fuel up.
means we get to cast a Shivan Dragon? No, we're 1 mana off from casting a Shivan Dragon off that. But it gets Chandra bigger towards the -X, which is a big deal. Lancers for Lancers, let's go. They've got 1 card in their hand. It's a Forge Fire Automaton. Beginning of their upkeep. Return a creature card with power less than its power from the grave to the battlefield and make it equal to its power. So they reanimate anything as an 8/5? Well, as an 8 power creature. So that's a no-no. Do I have anything Lurrus can kill that with? I have nothing I can even take with Lurrus. Okay. So that's not good. I have to sack Sarkhan to stop that from just winning the game. Whoa. 2, not 1.
Everyone we've lost to Phyrexian.
There's our Lurrus for nothing, pass the turn. I only have 19 cards left. I think even if I wanted to like draw the cards, I can't afford to be using the +1 here. Top deck Angel of Sanctions is fantastic for our opponent. But if I ever kill that... Oh my god, we did it! We established the Mind Stone Lurrus combo! With a bunch of mana sitting here to do it. Okay, that's super cute. I'm happy about that. Draw another card every turn. Anyways, if we manage to like get the Angel of Sanctions off the board, then we do get Chandra back with full loyalty, which is exceptional. We also have the Cathar Commando Lurrus combo going, so that's super sick. I was going to say, I'd be really surprised if they take the trade here. Because they can do it, and then they can embalm Angel of Sanctions to kill the Chandra again. But I'll still have the Chandra on the board until they put the token, so I still get to -4 that Chandra to kill the companion and shoot them for 4. Because the Chandra just comes immediately back on the board. Ravenous Chupacabra, that's another fantastic draw. Alright, gross against the Lurrus. It's 2 removal creatures off the top in a row, 2-for-1s. Sad stuff. Lurrus is only during our turns, that's why I didn't like respond by shooting companion with the commando. Find the Touch the Spirit Realm for the Angel of Sanctions, and I think that means they're just dead.
Enough talking.
Reverse Incredible Top Deck time? I mean, we did get the Mind Stone Lurrus combo, so we both drew some absolute gas there in the end. And that is game. We are now 5-2 as we head into round number 8. But it is still going to take one more win actually to break even in this thing. It's 4,000 gold to play, and you don't get your gold back unless you're 6 wins, I think. I'll double check. Wait, no, we are breaking even. All right, we're breaking even. We're just not in the money. All right, sweet stuff. Sweet, sweet stuff. Heading into round number 8 now. Here we are for round 8. This hand's actually a little bit slow, nothing until turn 3, but the turn 3 plays are powerful. Because I'm not just going to Royal Eruption their face turn 2 just for fun. Maybe they'll play like a really good mana dork or something and we could shoot that. That does not look like the case. Rona, Herald of Invasion is their first play. Draw a card, discard a card every turn, eventually flip it into a big spooky trampler, so I will want to kill that before it flips, but for now, think I'd rather play my own creature. Get the Overseer down in the sky. Find a Showdown of the Scalds for great late game value. I'm not just going to tap out for it next turn, unless something really weird happens. Drawn to a cast out. Well, let's poke for 2, and then I guess just let them do whatever with their turn and cast out the Ronin the end step. Worst case scenario. I guess the one thing that's kind of rough about this is that cast out can kill artifacts and enchantments and stuff. Whereas my other 2 removal spells could only kill creatures or planeswalkers, but the vast majority of threats are creatures and planeswalkers, except that Portal to Phyrexia they discarded. Please tell me they are not reanimating that somehow, because that would be horrific for me. There's a Gaunty. Now that they've discarded a Portal to Phyrexia, I'm probably unreasonably scared of them resolving like an artifact or enchantment here that I can't kill anymore, so I'm actually just going to hold on to the cast out so I know I have a way to kill a Portal to Phyrexia if it comes to that. I mean, it already gets that disgusting ETB effect, but... Wow, alright. That was a really good hit for them off the Gaunty. It's going to blank a lot of this removal. I'm going to have to spend a removal spell on our own Giver of Runes now, which is rough. I guess one of the positives of them hitting Giver of Runes is if I kill it, then I actually have something in my grave for Luris to cast. So that's kind of spicy. So let's kill the Giver of Runes in the Rona this turn. I think that's a reasonable use of our time. Ugin the Ineffable. Incredible planeswalker there. There goes my cast out if they resolve a non-creature planeswalker threat. Because this is a 2/2 every turn and a removal spell every now and then with the -3. Yeah. Think that is a cast out target instantly. Which means we cast out and play a Magda. Nahiri the Harbinger, which exiles any of the removal spells in her deck, because they're all enchantments. Well, any of the white removal spells. Which puts Ugin back to 4, and Ugin gets the free kill, and that is backbreaking. That's just going to swing the whole game from there, I'm sure. I mean, if I hit, like, incredible plays off Showdown of the Scalds, maybe we're still in it, but... I don't think so. So I can Luris and cast a Magda or Giver of Runes, then I have 2 creatures on the board. But they +1 Ugin, they've got a 2/3 and a 2/2 blocker. They've got a 4 loyalty Nahiri, 2 loyalty Ugin. Yeah, no, I think we just need to hit a miracle here. Dahlia's Lancers is interesting. It's going to take 2 turns for that to really mean anything. Because we need to play the Lancers, find the Chandra, and also play the Chandra. But Chandra can kill both Planeswalkers at once. Maybe with no removal on board here, we do just slam down the Lurrus for now. And hope it's no removal in hand. And we just go for big stuff next turn. Because then we get to cast a bunch of spells with a lifelinking Lurrus on the board to get counters onto. We'll see. And they could sack Nahiri to just exile the Showdown of the Scalds, but we still get to keep the spells. We just don't get the +1 counters, so they are just going to discard a card, draw a card. Scholar of the Lost Trove and cast Portal to Phyrexia from the grave for free. Alright, that is gonna end it then. For real this time. Never mind. Top deck removal for it. I think I can Mind Stone and Lancers and Rip Apart here. Yes, I can. I'm still very much losing, but the game's not like completely over here. I guess Chandra shows up late enough, she doesn't even kill both the Planeswalkers. Because Nahiri's going to be 6 loyalty against the -5. But she'll kill the Ugin at least. I guess we'll have to kill the Ugin and the Flyer, because we're going to be down to 14 now. Taking 5 a turn from that thing. Just let them keep Nahiri around. What does the ultimate do on this again? Search your library for an artifact creature put on the battlefield. I feel like their best artifacts and creatures are already in the grave. I think it's probably just like a Portal to Phyrexia kind of combo deck there. And the Scholar as well. Regrowth! They hit Regrowth off the key to the archive to just pick up the portal? Oof. What are the odds? 1 out of 5, I guess? Because there's 15 cards here and they get to choose out of 3. That's bad. Well, I mean, Chandra's astronomically dead. At least I get to kill both Planeswalkers.
Time to light up the darkness.
I actually don't know what they did with Nahiri here, why I'm getting to kill. They exiled my Mind Stone? Okay. Ooh. Almost misclicked Chandra again. 3 damage. Okay. Chandra was already super down on the crackback, so we're pretty okay with that edict. And speaking of things that are super dead, this is 4 solid attackers against 1, and they have the Portal to Phyrexia to kill my only creature as soon as they just cast that. They do need to play another land to cast it. Oh my god, Invasion of Tolvada, pick up any. This is just the sickest reanimator build over here. Just filling that graveyard with gas. They've got the Scholar to bring back anything, the Invasion of Tolvada to bring back anything. Alright. At least it's a very cool way to lose this final battle. Their deck is absolutely popping off, but it has been very reminiscent of how basically every single game has played, which is just one person doing a bunch of cool things. That was a misclick. I thought it was the other way around. It does not matter, though. We're already insanely dead on board. Because they just cast Portal and we don't do anything. Because Ugin makes Portal cost 2 less. Anyways, this has been very reminiscent of how all these games have been going, which is a lot of what Chromatic Cube is about. It's been doing like a bunch of big explosive things, but it has really just felt like one player's just doing a bunch of cool stuff and the other player just dies. It's just that for every game that we have won and every game that we have lost. So our opponent gets the full pop-off to end this draft with some spicy reanimation spells. And it is going to be 5 and 3 for the return of their Chromatic Cube. But still had a decently fun time with it. Saw a lot of pretty explosive stuff. Got to sit here and watch people pop off. Got to pop off a little bit ourselves. And it's a pretty cool cube overall, but looks like 4 and 3 will be the final result. Basically break even, get all our gold back out of this event. So that is going to do it for the Chromatic Cube draft this time around, because we've got the promotional early access event for the Lost Caverns of Ixalan in just a couple days. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a full set review, checking out all the cards for the first time, and the day after tomorrow we're going to hit the ground running with draft and sealed daily videos of that early access event. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.